having all these cruel things written and said about me has been devastating. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. There's not enough housing in San Francisco. The city's goal is don't try to interfere with how things actually work in San Francisco. If you do, you will become the next Kihagi.
New and a major legal victory today for a San Francisco couple who claimed that they were wrongfully evicted.
They just won a $3,528,000 settlement for harassment and wrongful eviction.
She has been scapegoated to sound like any building that she buys is then emptied of all their tenants. But the truth is, and the statistics show, that's completely not true.
By making me be the example of my God, here's how we can crucify you, and here's how bad things can really get, and hope that that kind of like deters any future landlord when you have a problem with your tenant from taking action that you're legally and contractually allowed to take. Somebody came in and broke this beautiful, beautiful glass. This is what they did, and they've done it in all my buildings. Now I'm going to have to replace that. It's an injustice calling me a slumlord, and I think the injustice is just plastering up pictures that some tenant took inside my own building while I was working, and plastering that so that people can kind of like go, this image, which is a great image of like some black landlord, fits very well with the image that we want to say, which is a slumlord. There you go. This city, I hate to say it, is probably the most liberal city, but also the most racist city that I've ever seen.
What the public doesn't know, that in May of 2015, Kihagi filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the city and county of San Francisco. So everything since May of that filing, May of 2015, the city's lawsuit against Kihagi was all in retaliation for that federal suit. According to the city attorney's office, the Code Enforcement Department is spending 73% of their resources to take down Kihagi, a woman who is a single manager who owns 10 buildings in San Francisco, which is kind of small time compared to the big property management companies, the ones that own hundreds of buildings. This is a person who owns 10 buildings, and she's conducted 10 evictions in San Francisco since 2014. 3 of them are owner move-in evictions, which were legitimate. This is a small-time landlord. Why would the city of San Francisco be spending their resources and our taxpayers' money to take down one single woman? It's because it's in retaliation for her standing up for herself as an educated black woman who's not going to put up with this. And she filed the federal lawsuit before the city brought their retaliatory lawsuit against Kihagi.
Why me? I think the city attorney thought we had a black girl who probably from the pictures they got and the ones that they plaster all over the internet thought would be absolutely like a, whiz to walk through. Probably thought uneducated, not feisty, not articulate, wouldn't speak up. And I think what's been surprising is that despite all the negative media, despite the fact that everyone else probably would have collapsed by now and run away, I'm still standing up because I think there's a bigger issue here, which is we need to have this dialogue about what's wrong with the city of San Francisco. What's going on such that the landlords can absolutely go through this level of abuse. And it's not just me. What I'm saying is it sounds like all you're seeing is me. I'd like to see some investigative journalists maybe give me an interview and go talk to the other people that this has happened to. It really, really affected me in the beginning. And I think realizing that it's much bigger than me. Injustices to 70-year-old women who've lost their building. A lot of the Chinese landlords, some of them who don't speak English, losing their buildings to the city of San Francisco under the same crashing mechanism of penalties. Now, why are they not getting the same big penalties that I got? Because they folded in the beginning. The difference is I'm still fighting, and the more they fight, the more invested they get, and the more they feel like they want to make an example of the next landlord who should never stand up and actually fight. Landlords in San Francisco are literally sitting up and watching as laws and regulations are made. And the laws and regulations are made by groups of tenant activist-driven groups, the Rent Board, which is actually pretty decent, but again, influenced only by one side. And the landlords literally have almost no representation in terms of speaking up because they make sure that you're completely afraid of ever speaking up. So your role as a landlord in San Francisco is to acquiesce to anything that people do and to be intimidated when the tenants tell you, you're wrong, you can't actually get it done. I think for most landlords, that would be okay. But I think for myself, when I think of who I am or part of what my experiences or have led me to be, I think of myself as a woman of color who's had to put up a decent fight to get to where I'm at. If I lived in the 1950s or the 1940s and I was in America during the slave years or anything else, and somebody said, Miss Kihagi, you cannot use this bathroom, or Miss Kihagi, you have to sit in the back of any bus, I'm probably the one girl that would say, I can't do it. I'm standing up and saying some of the stuff that's happening in San Francisco is so wrong, and I think we have to bring the debate and the discussion forefront so that the landlords can actually also speak up and be heard. Did you know that in San Francisco, I'm not the landlord? Did you know the true landlord in San Francisco is the master tenant? I mean, this is the only city that is so screwed up that the master tenant actually runs your life. Did you know that the master tenant, once they rent the rooms in their own flats, can kick out a bad tenant with 30-day notice, and that's the end of the story? Whereas if I wanted to kick out a bad tenant, I have to go through tons of attorneys that are given for free by the city of San Francisco, go through eviction network, defense network, go through all the free attorneys that the city is going to give them, go fight, have them play games with me where they delay tactics in terms of not moving out. And if I'm lucky, I might get to the end line. Most landlords are actually even afraid and counseled by their own attorneys to walk away because, oh, no, you don't want to go there. You know, bad things could happen. Huge percentage of tenants renting in San Francisco versus the ratio of owners in San Francisco. And in fact, it's almost like you should be embarrassed being an owner in San Francisco. What's really happening here is an abuse by the city of the state health and housing code. So generally, if you have rundown buildings, which you're looking at my building, when they talk about me being a slumlord, most of my tenants live in units that look as nice as my unit or better than my unit. This is me that they're talking about. We have what we have as the state health and housing code for when things get really out of control, for buildings that are neglected, things that are not right. But in my case, as I said, I had tenants organizing to say, we're the only building she's not coming to, I quote, because we keep filing complaints. So what they're doing is systematically trying to say, let's file complaints so that we can detract from getting anything done quickly enough. They don't even give you notice. Then they complain about giving you access. They make it difficult for you to go in and make your repairs. This is how clean the building is. I mean, these are electric meters, absolutely well maintained, well organized, and this is what they talk about when they say slumlord. But if you look at it, before you know it, you end up with what they're saying, oh my God, we have 4,487 days of violations. You can see I'm missing one light bulb. He could cite me for that despite the fact that I have 6 lights in the common area, which is more than most landlords. Something as simple as a building is leaning became for Judge Bradstreet 700 days. Let's talk about the next one. Oh my God, I heard that you guys have an illegal unit, that you constructed or repaired or remodeled an illegal unit. That became 900 days of what she was talking about. If you were in Chicago with no rent control, zero chance that anyone would ever bring a case like this. Zero. So this case has a lot to do with just San Francisco wanting to say, we are San Francisco, we do things our way, and if you don't play by our games, you get to pay the price. And this is not just happening to Anna Kihagi. Don't forget, they're doing it to a number of other small landlords. But what the other landlords are doing different than what I'm doing is, they just settle. You just have to go say, okay, I bow out. I said, I'm the same girl that said I would not sit in the back of that bus, and I'm still saying I'm not going to sit and allow this to happen. So I am standing up and saying something's wrong. They're doing it and doing it to a lot of other landlords. I could bring all those landlords and say, let's line them up. It's happening all over San Francisco, and it's wrong, and it needs to stop. And what I'm saying is, it's really controlled by the city attorney, and they have 2 influences to try to get to you. One, they can either try to say tenants, or the other vehicle, which is the easiest vehicle for them, is to say, we will find something wrong, any minuscule detail that we can find in your building, and we'll make it bigger. And the number of days that it takes you to fix it can be amplified into that judgment. And then that's how you end up with the judgment that I have.